Welcome back, everybody, to The Creative Moment, Season 9, Episode 10, the season finale of our 9th season. We are here, maybe in a semi-permanent studio, hopefully, pending any, catastrophic events. We might still bounce over. I like the office studio.
Yeah, it was a way busy season, actually. Actually, the whole season has been busy.
Yeah. But Dante Bullhauer, Jamie Bullhauer, your hosts as always. And we have an interesting topic today that I'm going to be just as informed on as you are here in just a moment. So let's get right into it. All right, so today we're talking kind of the universal truths through creativity. Now, we have mentioned kind of in the past couple episodes how some literature that has been read, that you've read, just kind of some videos that we mentioned, quotes, things like that. There are certain strains that kind of all go through the same thread. They all weave together in a certain way. So that's kind of our topic today. So,
and in this case, I'm taking the lead a little bit on that. So I haven't been to the library yet. I got to return this book. I don't know. There you go. And I was reading. I just picked it up because I just saw I was interested. Got a lot of pictures. And it's an architect, Ben Pentry, which I hope I said that right. He is an English architect, designer, interior designer. And I just picked up the book because that's just kind of what I do at the library, and is in the news section. And he's got the first part of the book. He starts talking about the creativity of in his world and some of the stuff he does. And one example is he mentioned that he gets an idea, but it just starts out as a seed, and he lets it grow. And Rick Rubin in his book about creativity mentions that. We mentioned the other book, The World Needs Your Art. But in Ben's book, it continues to touch upon things that we basically, to a degree, talk about: photography, graphic design, and writing. We, do try to incorporate the other aspects of art, but to see and hear him talk about things like being imperfect, actually creating a sense of imperfectness and dealing with that, a sense of quiet and reflection. When they're just even breaking ground, he's like, I don't like to be in the hustle and bustle of everybody. It's so loud. This world is so loud. And he will go off and he'll touch the grass, and he'll just try to reflect on the sense of the place and what this building should be like. And then talks about copying other architects. Talking about he likes to be inspired by their work. And I was just like, to a degree, we're not covering anything really new or, breaking new ground. We are just touching on the things that people who are just new into creativity or always like, well, I'm not creative, are missing out. That they don't understand. I think we articulate some of those things for others, or reinforce other people's ideas. We have some opinions about certain other things, but the heart of creativity, I think, is kind of universal.
Yeah, I mean, this just makes me think of your ideas are not original. We're all talking about the same stuff. But yeah, I think, this is kind of aside from the technicalities of the creative industry, the technicalities of writing, photo, whatever.
Those are tools.
Purely the creative part is something that, and we talked about this in our first couple episodes, everybody feels, everybody has those creative emotions, and the people that articulate them through their creativity, because interior design is a very creative industry. Obviously, poetry is very creative. Music is very creative. Like we talked about in our first episode, Grandpa Susie and the pancakes and stuff. We all have these creative emotions and themes that help either convey our creativity or whatever. I feel like the way we exercise them is different. We use photography, writing, whatever, as a conduit to express those creative outlets, but they all fall into the same bucket, so to speak, of being creative. And I don't know, like you think about interior design and you think about poetry and you think those are as different as apples and oranges, but in reality, you are using and exercising the same creative muscles for the most part as the interior designer.
Yeah, because some of the stuff, the beginning part of the book, just how he likes to, and this was interesting. He talks about trying to capture. So when he does interior design jobs for couples, or like they hire him, or his team, he wants to match, in a sense, their energy, their vibe, and he'll have ideas and he'll try to bring out, and stuff. But at the end, it's like, my job is to amplify what they want, what they feel, what their relationship is, and to a degree we have talked about how art is also a piece of history. I mean, this is kind of in that sense very personalized. You do that through photography. What you're doing is take your skill set to highlight the seniors, or highlight that game, to capture that essence, obviously, you get a lot of times with the celebration, but you've taken some powerful pictures of the team that loses, because we kind of forget there's another team that has gone through the struggle to try to win that game, and to capture that. And it's just like that drive, or that mission that he has. And that's kind of, and to a degree, I think that's kind of why I resonated with it. It just felt like he's like, I'm using my creativity to do things for the world. He talks about creating joy, being, creating quiet places and homes so that people can be away from the, it just was like at that heart, an important element to him and his team for what they do in making buildings. And in fact, he's actually making a town, or designing a town. He touches upon it in the book. I don't know enough about whatever it is, but it's just kind of crazy to actually build something like that.
Yeah. I think something that you touched on, or that he touched on, that you brought up, is the touching grass, the feeling, what the building's supposed to feel like. An important part to kind of, experience these kind of universal truths is the thoughtfulness and the being presentness of whatever you're doing. So if I want to create, there's a reason I think I take pretty good championship runner-up photos, because I was a runner-up in high school, and so I can tap into that feeling really easily, because it's a very stark memory in my mind. But actually experiencing, and I do this all the time when I go hiking in nature and stuff like that, the thoughtfulness of being present in that moment and experiencing not just, that's a big tree, taking in the vastness of how big that tree is, which in Seattle, they're just these massive trees. And so that's kind of what came to mind. But feeling, if you're designing, looking at a piece of furniture or color on a wall, whatever, just sit there and feel what emotion that's bringing you. Actually take it in and be thoughtful with how it's making you feel. And I feel like that's a good way to experience those kind of all those creative thoughts and be able to access them a lot more easily, because a lot of times we are just distracted. We're a very distracted society. And so there's not a lot of times, I find myself when I do go hiking and see a new place, I'm like, I haven't really been present in a long time. I've just been kind of running
through the schedule.
Not on autopilot, but just I haven't stopped to find a quiet place or to do that sort of thing. And I feel the creativity kind of radiate more when I just sit there and I'm thoughtful and I'm just not I'm just present. You are where your feet are. That kind of cliche right there.
So this is where I love this podcast, because we have our topics, but it's unscripted. So obviously this is great on social media, the feed. Just the other day they were doing, because I have basketball. Basketball is just part. And I don't remember who it was, but a former opponent of Michael Jordan said the reason he was actually great is because he was able to be present all the time, wherever he was. If it was practice, it was NBA championship game, if they were down by 20, he was able to just focus and be there in the moment. And there's lots of those stories of him, like somebody ticking him off. He maybe it was 2 for 10, and then that's, there's like, okay, like, and just to be there. And so therefore he could use his skill set to do what he loves and play basketball at such a high level, like all the time. It wasn't everybody as an athlete, I know, like, we don't have great games all the time, but you can kind of do well, play well all the time. And sometimes you have to elevate, but it's not that hard to jump to that elevation. So it's just ironic. It's just like, that's what he says. Like, everybody's got skill sets. There's our live audience. Yeah. He's just like, he was able to always be where he was. And that's just like, oh.
Yeah, and it's like when you're, not to bring it totally into sports, but when you're down 20, it's very easy to think, like, how do we make that 20-point lead disappear? It starts with being present, being like, what's the most we could score here? Like 3 points, whatever. So let's focus on right now, this possession. Yeah. Not 10 possessions when it's 10 possessions later when it's a 2-point game. Let's focus on just right now.
Yeah. And then get a stop. Focus on the stop. Yeah. And then, so that's another, the other aspect that came to mind that you mentioned earlier, and I'm seeing right now, because the 7th graders are about to do their big creative story, when they choose a movie or they, and dealing with stuff, it's like, because I always get that knee jerk, oh, I'm not creative, I can't draw, I can't, but what I always see, even all the students, once they've created something, it doesn't even matter if it's a stick person, they want to show it. They want to see what I made, see what I created. And they laugh and they have fun with it, but and then when the seniors are asked to sometimes do something creative, it is, I think, in that sense, a deep aspect that creativity is, to a degree, who we are. It's a way we express who we are, and when it's brought out into the world in whatever form, we want people to recognize. It's a way for the world to see us, and. I just chuckle as a teacher in my, just like, oh, I can't draw. Well, I just do an enhanced stick figure,
like a flip book or something.
Yeah, flip. And then they do it, and then they're all like, look, they'll come up to me, look what I did. And I think, sadly, to a degree, the other art book, The World Needs Your Art, she mentions in there, though, that society has said that art is frivolous. That whatever kind of art. And she was trying to counter that no, art really does matter. It matters to the culture, yes, but also matters to you. It helps you become a citizen of this world, of who you are. And by, you may never ever be famous, like that, but by creating, you get to create your place in this world. And it's like, sadly, I think too many people do see it as frivolous, or it's just this fun activity, when in fact I know as a teacher, no, I've got your brain firing right now. You are.
Yeah, and it does, I mean, some of us are introverted, some of us are extroverted, but at the end of the day, we all want to be seen, heard, and felt. Like, those are some just kind of life universal truths. And being able to create something, I had a public speaking event this week where I'm like, creativity is one of the most fun, I called it an emotion. I don't really know what it is. I don't know what it is. But creativity is one of the most fun things to be able to tap into, because you access parts of your brain that most people do not access on a daily basis. Like being able, if you're an accountant, you're not really creative at, you're just doing math, or science, you can be creative in some aspects, whatever, but like if teaching history, you can find creative ways to do it, and that's what makes teaching fun, is finding different ways to teach a subject or whatever. But being creative in whatever you're doing is one of the more fun things to tap into. And I mentioned, like, you guys ever try, like, you play Pig and you try these random trick shots. You're being creative. You're finding a creative way to achieve your goal of beating the other person in Pig or whatever.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like, is when people are most fulfilled. It's one of the most fun things to just be able to have that, to make a flip book or to make a photograph, whatever. That is something that when you a lot of people don't access enough, but when you do, it's really one of the more exciting and just fulfilling places to be, is in your kind of creative zone.
Yeah, and it forces you to be there.
Yeah.
To be present. You can't create when you're thinking about yesterday or, well, except poetry. No, but you know what I'm saying.
Tap into the emotion.
Yeah, but if you're worried about this and that, like, you can't be creative. So it actually trains you also just to be present.
I can't be creative in airports. I've learned that. I can't.
See,
I can't do it.
Do you remember the poems I wrote when I was traveling? You probably don't. Never mind. But when I was traveling, I was writing all the time about the airport or the airplane, and
I mean, people watching is fun, and like, yeah, you do get a lot of creative thoughts, but I cannot work and like actually access my creativity because I'm an not anxious flyer. I'm fine flying, but I'm an anxious. I need to make sure the gate exists and do this, before I go get a coffee or whatever.
Yep. Yes.
So, just because I'm not present, like I'm just thinking about the boarding time and is it going to get delayed, all this stupid stuff.
Well, yeah, because some of your travels, you got a hard schedule.
But yeah, I think we have touched on a lot of the topics that I just hear in other creative podcasts. Mm-hmm. Like Peter McKinnon's podcast, we touch on a lot of the same stuff. And we all kind of articulate it in different ways, but the baseline is still kind of the same. And that's just, I mean, we all share something in common at the end of the day, being human, and creativity and all the parts that go into it. We all experience them.
Yeah,
and you're not the only one in a creative rut. You're not the only one that's like taking sweet photos or whatever. And that just, it's kind of humbling, honestly, to just be like, yeah, we're all the same. I mean, we're all basically the same. It's just some of us may access creativity more than others. Some of us may run into those common threads more often than we do, and things like that. But
yeah, like right now, busyness is one of the hurdles we're both facing.
Yeah.
I have not finished that short story I mentioned. Yep. And so we all have some of the same hurdles. It's just our paths or our times are just different, and so yeah, there's universal aspect of creativity, and I think it shows why you should be. Like you gotta find time to, if you're like to sketch, you like to weld, you whatever. When you find and you do that, makes a difference for your everyday life, because it energizes you. It helps you form who you are and your place in the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's our season finale of season 9 of The Creative Moment. Yeah, we're just chugging right along. Don't be mad at me for getting the podcast out late, okay? It wasn't my fault, all right? But as always, thank you guys for hanging around, listening to our topics. If you see any other piece of creative literature or anything, don't read it. Just go back to our podcast queue and listen to that, okay? You'll find everything you need to know. That's a joke. I support other creatives. But thank you guys, as always, for listening or watching on YouTube, on Spotify, and Apple, wherever you're consuming our content. Thank you again, and we'll see you guys in season 10 in a couple weeks.